Hello, welcome to Poetry Changes Lives, poetry and history together in a book with a thought for the day. You can buy this book on my website, poetrychangeslives.com, or from bookshops, or for that matter from amazon.com or amazon.co.uk. Well, on this day in 1930, we celebrate the birthday of a remarkable American poet, Gregory Corso, one of the poets of the Beat generation of the 1940s and 50s. He knew people like Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac, whose great book of the Beat generation, On the Road, I was talking about last month. Despite a spell in prison, Corso managed to get himself into Harvard. He came from a poor background, poor education as a child, but his charm and his creativity was such that he went into academia, and he saw poetry entirely as coming from the heart through inspiration, and he had no time for anything else, for people posing or for great education and long words. For him, he was a real poet of the people, and nothing mattered except the words, the poetry itself. He admired greatly some of the poets of the past. At his request, when he died, his ashes are buried in Rome at the foot of the grave of Percy Bysshe Shelley, the great English poet of the 19th century. It was a touching tribute by Corso to the man he admired as a revolutionary of spirit, and it made me think rather differently about both Corso and Shelley, I must say. Well, I can't read one of Corso's poems because it's still under copyright, but I'm going to read a poem by Canadian Bliss Carman, whose work is not as well known as Corso's, but has a slightly similar feel, I think. This one is called A Farside Vision, and it's got some nice imagery about looking back into the past. Once I walked the world enchanted through the scented woods of spring, hand in hand with love in rapture, just to hear a bluebird sing. Now the lonely winds of autumn moan about my gusty eaves, as I sit beside the fire listening to the flying leaves. As the dying embers settle and the twilight falls apace, through the gloom I see a vision, full of ardour, full of grace. Eyes more wonderful than evening, with the new moon on the hill. Mouth with traces of God's humour in its corners, lurking still. Ah, she smiles in recollection, lays a hand upon my brow, rests this head upon love's bosom. Surely it is April now. I rather like that. It's a gentle poem of reminiscence and slight regret. Well, today I give thanks for all the poetic revolutionaries of spirit. Thanks for listening.